Let's go over all the tips and tricks to thread and wind your bobbin on the Janome M8 sewing machine. Hey guys, it's David from Gigi's Fabric Shop, home of Janome Junkies and Junkies. And in today's video, we're going to be threading the Janome M8 sewing machine and showing you also how to wind the bobbin. This machine is absolutely fantastic, and I love winding and threading this machine because it's super easy. So let's go over all the tips and tricks I have for you at home so you can be a professional when you get this machine in front of you. Okay, so what's really nice about this machine is we do have a vertical thread stand, so we can use pretty much any size spool on this machine, and we've got a mini glide spool here and a king size spool here. When you're using the king size spools, it's a good idea to use an anti-vibration cone, so that way it fits the diameter of the cone a little better and it doesn't want to wiggle around like this, like crazy. In today's video, I'm not going to use the anti-vibration cone because I'm not going to be sewing too much, so it's not that big of a deal. But what we're going to do here is we're just going to get our thread. We're going to make sure this spool stands all the way up. We're just going to go through that little top thread guide right there. And this is the process for winding the bobbin. Now you do have two spots on this. It doesn't matter where you start. You can have your thread on the right or the left when you're winding a bobbin or threading the machine. There's two spots, so that way if you wanted to do double needle or if you wanted to have your main thread going to the machine and you wanted to wind a bobbin with this side, you could do that. But here we are, we've got it going through this top thread guide, and now everything is labeled really well on this machine, showing you exactly what you need to do. So the scattered line is the thread path for winding your bobbin, the solid line is the thread path for actually threading the machine. So we're gonna just kind of follow the steps with the dotted line. From the thread guide up here on the spool stand, you're gonna go around the tension disc for bobbin winding. Now this tension disc, in this animation, it only shows you to go around at one time like this and go directly to your bobbin. That is fine, you can do that. However, I prefer to go around at one more full rotation. This just allows it to not want to fall out of the tension disc, and it gives it a little bit more tension for a tighter bobbin. So what I do is I go around it twice. So I'll hold it like this, like I'm flossing, make sure it's in that tension disc nice all the way, and then one more full rotation like that. That's all I'm doing that's different than what it tells you, and I just find that it gives me a better outcome with my bobbins. So once you've located the hole you want to go through, you're going to grab your thread and go just through the bottom of it and out the top. Now you're going to grab that thread just like that, and you can go ahead and push this down on the bobbin winding lever. Now what I like to do is before I start winding my bobbin, I want to pull a little bit of thread to get my main thread nice and tight like that, and see there's nice tension going here. Now what I'll do is I'll push over this lever, press bobbin winding, it's going to wind. Once it winds for a couple seconds, I'll stop it, I'll grab a pair of scissors, cut right there nice and flush, and go ahead and wind the rest of the way. Now while it's winding, it's not a bad idea to make sure that it's still in that tension disc over there. Everything looks like it's coming nice and smooth. You don't have any thread wrapping around the top of your spool in a weird spot. Now sometimes there's some spools that have the same width bottom and the top, and there's little splits in it and the thread can get caught in that. So just make sure it's coming off the spool nice and evenly. If you're using a spool cap, it's not getting caught around that. On the vertical spool stands, you really don't need spool caps in my opinion. Some spools might need one, but not usually. So I run no spool cap, and it just seems like the thread comes off the spool better without the spool cap sometimes. So here we are winding our bobbin. It should stop automatically on its own once it gets to the edge, just like that. Now if it doesn't stop in time, or it winds too much or too little, there is a quick adjustment. All you're going to do is grab a Phillips head screwdriver, loosen this ever so slightly, and you can move this little guide right here to the left to restrict the amount of thread that goes in the bobbin, or to the right to gain more thread on the bobbin. So all that's doing is it's bumping into the thread, and that's what's telling it to shut off. So if you just loosen that Phillips head screw and adjust it left or right, you can adjust how much thread's going on that bobbin. Mine has a nice little lip right there, so the thread is not overly wound, and on the bottom it has a little bit smaller lip, and it looks like it's just a little bit too much thread for my liking. So I will make that adjustment. I'll loosen this to the left, move this over just a hair, and test it out again, and it'll be less thread on my next bobbin. But for this instance, this is good enough to go. But what I'll do before, so I'll just pull a little bit of thread off of it so it's not right there on the edge. Snip that thread, and now I can go ahead and throw that in my machine. It looks nice. Looks nice and pretty close to even on both sides. And I'll do the squish test. So I'll just squish down on both sides of the bobbin and make sure that this is not squishy. You don't want your thread to be squishy on your bobbin. You want it to be nice and tight and evenly wound just like that. So now that we are ready to insert our bobbin into the bobbin case, what you're gonna wanna do is make sure your thread falls down on the left side, making a P. On mechanical, semi-industrial machines, it's typically opposite of this. So just keep that in mind. With your computerized machines, it's gonna fall down on the left side. So you're just gonna drop that in just like that. And then you're just gonna pull the thread over here. It's gonna go right underneath this little spring here. Then you're just gonna follow the steps from here. 1 going around, 2 going over here, and it's got an auto cutter right there. Now this machine is great because you don't actually have to pull up your bobbin thread. It'll automatically pull up the bobbin thread on your own. So you can go ahead and put this little bobbin cover right on top, close it up, and you're now ready to start threading your machine. Okay, so now that we're ready to thread our machine, we've got our bobbin inserted, we're ready to thread it. We're gonna make sure our spool stands all the way up. Make sure the thread is going from the back to the front through the thread guide coming out. And now we're gonna be following that solid line, not the dotted line, since we're threading. So we're gonna go through this little metal thread guide. And from there, we're gonna work our thread over to number 3, which is this little guide right here. And then number 4, you're just following this arrow. So 4 is gonna go all the way down this little slot. 5, the thread's gonna be coming back up, just like this. And then what I like to do is rotate that hand wheel until you can see this take-up lever on the top. Once it's up there, you go right to left through that take-up lever. Then the thread's gonna come back down. And now we're on step number 7. So now you're just gonna follow the little numbers and the arrows right here. So we're gonna go right into this thread guide, kind of just flosses into there. And once it's there, now number 8 is gonna be on the needle bar. So you're just gonna go right here behind this little guide there. You should pull it over and kind of hear it click into place, also kind of like flossing. And now that we're at number 8, we can go to number 9, which number 9 is just into this little crab claw. It's gonna bite down on your thread, and then you can pull your thread around the side of the machine, cut it on that thread cutter, and it's gonna cut it to the perfect length for the needle threader. Now we're gonna press foot down, and what I always like to do is do needle down, needle up. But typically when you thread your machine, your take-up lever's up, which means it's in the right position for threading your needle. So if you're just rethreading your needle, you do need to press needle down, needle up to make sure it's in the right position for that needle threader. So now that we know it's in the right position, you push this little lever on the side, hold it down for just a 1/4 second, and boom, it threads your needle, gives you the perfect tag end. Now I'm gonna pick up my foot, put my thread in the back of that foot. Like I said, you don't need to pull up that bobbin thread. Just put some fabric underneath, start sewing, and you're good to go. So now that I have everything threaded, I'm just gonna put some fabric underneath and press start. Press stop when I'm done. Press the little cut button. Foot will automatically lift up, and voila, we've got the machine threaded and sewing beautifully. Now, one thing I love to mention about this machine is that needle threader. There's a lot of different needle threaders out on the market, and that one is super, super easy to use. I absolutely love it. This machine is a joy to use, easy to thread, easy to wind your bobbin, not very complicated whatsoever. But if you guys have any questions, make sure you drop them down in the comment section below. If you want to see more videos like this, more in-depth videos on Janome sewing machines, make sure to hit that subscribe button, because here at Janome Junkies, we post tons of videos every single week on Janome sewing machines. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it, and if you're ever looking for a Janome sewing machine or a Junkies sewing machine, be sure to give us a call at the number, and you can also email us at our email that is listed in the description of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and we will see you on the next one.